All right, we're going to be talking about the directions for asynchronous lesson 7. This is due Sunday at 11:59. And in this lesson, you're continuing your investigation on inverses and what they are and when is an inverse a function. So, what this activity is asking you to do is you're going to be first filling out this input-output table for the graph of this function, f of x equals 2x squared minus 1. So you're going to be filling out this input-output table. You're going to be choosing points around 0. So you want to choose points less than 0 and points greater than 0. And I also put a little note here. Remember your PEMDAS. I'm pointing out PEMDAS because there is this squared component on here. And you want to be careful when you're evaluating your points that you always do the parentheses and exponents first, then you multiply, then in this case subtracting 1 afterward. In addition, y'all, I do want you to fill out this table, and you could check your work by putting this graph on Desmos and just making sure it does agree with what you evaluated. So it's a great way to always check your work. Another thing is, in number 2, you're going to be asked to fill in the table for the inverse now. You're going to be using the table that you filled in for number 1 as reference. So if you all remember that in our discussion, that the inverse basically interchanges the x and the y coordinates. So if you already have a table for the function, then the inverse itself is just x and y swapped. But you all can ask me clarifying questions on that, but all you have to do is swap these from according to our lesson. And I'm referencing back to our notes that all you have to do is to swap the x and the y. Next, after you do that, you fill out the inverse table. You're going to go down, and what I'd like you to do is to graph both the original function and the inverse on the same coordinate plane, so on a graph. I want you to use a piece of lined paper, and I actually want you to do it on paper, not on Desmos. I want you to use a piece of paper and to graph both the original function and your inverse on the same coordinate plane. So you have to draw an x and y plane, and I want you to insert a picture of your work here. And then I'm going to ask you some follow-up questions about the inverse after you have finished graphing. So on number 4, I ask, is the inverse of the original function a function? Why or why not? And I'd like to hear your justification. So I'm not looking for yes or no here as an answer. I'm looking for yes because or no because. Lastly, on number 5, you're going to be attempting to find the equation of the inverse using the steps we discussed in class. And I put a little note, this is an attempt. Show all your steps and try your best. So right now it's like I want you to first try it, and then we're going to continue to talk about how to find the actual equation of the inverse. So let me also reference back to the steps that we previewed in class. Here are the steps to finding the inverse of a function. You rewrite f of x as y, you switch x and y, you solve the equation from step 2 for y, and you replace y with step 3 with the inverse notation once it's a function. All right, everybody. Good luck on your assignment. And again, feel free to text me and remind, but make sure that we do it before 5 and not on the last minute because I'm already in bed by 10 every day. All right, y'all.